Okay, so I haven't... Okay. This is a nightmare I may not be ready to live through.
I started getting crushes on boys.
Real embarrassed about this.
My mouth gets the best of me pretty much all the time.
Okay, I'm just like, how do... Okay. All right.
There we go. Hey everybody, welcome to We Still Like You, the show where people tell their unfiltered, shameful stories, and we do our best to still like them. I'm Jesse Batend. Today we have 3 cautionary tales of fame. Chicago's Jamie Carbone meets his Hollywood hero at a midwestern Christmas party. Patrick Hastie gets caught up in a Christian rock catch-22, and Danny Labelle is definitely not the guard with the gun from Bad Boys 2. So, to start things off, we thought we'd begin with a Christmas story. From Chicago, here's comedian Jamie Carbone.
Give it up, please. Warm welcome for Jamie Carbone!
Hi, guys. They say never meet your heroes. And that it usually means you're going to realize your heroes are human and they will no longer be your heroes. But there should also be a caveat that you will be an ass in front of your hero and also maybe ruin his Christmas. Guys, the year is 2004. Christmas time. And I am about 16 years old. And through the luck of being born in the Western Shangri-La that is Charleston, West Virginia, I had an opportunity to meet my fucking hero, Ben Affleck. You might be wondering, Jamie, how did this come up? This is going to sound super fake, but I swear it isn't. Ben Affleck might still be, I don't know if the papers have gone through, married to Jennifer Garner. Jennifer Garner was raised in Charleston, West Virginia, and her best friend is my mom's golf buddy. At the time, they were only engaged, and Jen, like a real homebody, came back to West Virginia for Christmas. So what happened was, my dad tells me, hey, we're going to a Christmas party. Jen and Ben might be there. Do you want to come? Not unless they're there. That was me and my brother's stance on it. We made plans to go see the modern cinematic classic Fat Albert. When we get a phone call from my father that says, they're here. So instead of being like, hey, let's go over there and meet them, first thing we do is we collect every Ben Affleck DVD we have in our home. Because we are going to get all of them signed, including our 2-disc special edition of Pearl Harbor. We drive over, the DVDs are put into a bag that is carried into the home, and Jen and Ben are sitting on a couch together. Nobody is talking to them. Not a single person. It's like there's a wall of celebrity that no one can get by. And that is what I call a wasted opportunity. But I am also a 16-year-old coward. I'm not going to just go over to one of my heroes and be like, hey, you in Dazed and Confused? Perfect. So I turned to a friend that I am no longer close with called vodka. I had only been drinking for about a year at this point. and that was mostly beer. I had never mixed a drink myself before. So I did a Tom Collins glass, half vodka, half cranberry, drank that, didn't feel anything because that's not how alcohol works. Made a second one, chugged that, waited about 15 minutes, and went for it. I don't know if you guys have ever approached your hero before, but it is still, I still mentally, he seems about 1,000 feet tall, just reclining on that couch, and I just know, what the fuck am I doing, right as I walk up to him. So I put my hand out, say, "Hi, I'm Jamie." He was very nice, shook it, said, "Hi, I'm Ben." Like I didn't fucking know. And instead of being like, "Nice to meet you," or "How is your trip to West Virginia been?" I said, "Hey man, your buddy Kevin Smith?" When he was writing Daredevil, why did he decide to kill Mysterio, the longtime Spider-Man villain, in a book he has nothing to do with? I went full comic shop guy on my fucking hero. And his response was a very cordial, "Hey man, Kevin's a writer. He knows what he's doing." I, for one, enjoyed the book. If you pick up the trade, I actually wrote the intro for it. And honestly, I think it's a solid story. To which I said, "Hey man, that makes a lot of sense." And then I left to go watch Fat Albert. Which also includes the best line I've ever heard comedically, which was my younger brother saying to him as we were leaving, "Hey man, it was nice meeting you even though I didn't meet you." So I watched the movie. Not bad. Wake up the next morning to my dad kicking my bedroom door down, going, "What did you talk to Ben Affleck about last night?" To which I said, "Oh, nothing. I just asked him a comic book question. He was real nice about it." And my dad goes, "You asked one comic book question? You were talking to him for 15 minutes. Guys, I don't know what I said to Ben Affleck. And like a small part of me just wants to get famous enough where I might see him at a party and be like, "Hey man, do you remember Christmas 2004? We met. Why did Kevin Smith kill Mysterio?"
Why were you so committed to the Spider-Man character Mysterio? He's not that interesting a character.
Yo, for real, you want to know why? I am attached to Mysterio because of Spider-Man the Animated Series, where he had a Phantom of the Opera style background and was all about this girl, and I'm like, yo, this motherfucker is relatable as shit. Also, on a darker note, he had killed himself in the storyline, and I, thought about it.
Now you've embarrassed yourself in front of Batman. But the most shameful part of that story is that your hero is fucking Ben.
What?
Jamie Carbone. Coming up, God got Patrick into this mess, and God is going to get him out. Welcome back to We Still Like You. This next story is almost a modern version of a Greek tragedy, a 21st century Faustian bargain. Let's just say, Christian rock giveth, and Christian rock taketh away. From the Bird City Comedy Festival, here's Patrick Hastie.
How are you all? When I was in high school, I was in a cool rap metal band, which I know I don't have to say cool. You get it by rap metal, but then what happened? You'll all remember in 2001 that Jimmy World album came out, and we were like, "Fuck it, we're an emo band now," and so we became an emo band, and I was in Omaha. This was in the Omaha music scene back then, and in the Omaha music scene in the early 2000s, there was like Bright Eyes, and there was Cursive and The Faint, and then there was my band, Summer Too Late, and everyone was like, "No, we don't give a shit. We don't care about you or what you're doing." But there was this one rock club in this little town outside of Omaha, and this club was called Rebels, and we saw an ad that they were looking for bands to play, like to be like a house band, to just be like anytime they needed a band to jump up. And so we went to them and we talked to them, and they were like, "It's gonna be great," and we're like, "Awesome!" And they had good bands I'd heard of coming through there. And so we're like, "We're gonna do it." And then at the last minute, the owner of the club was just like, "I got a quick question for you though. You guys are Christians, right?" And we were like, "Yeah, sure, yeah, hell yeah, no, heaven, yeah, we are." And so what happened was this was a Christian rock club, but they would bring in these huge bands, and we were now their house band. So like over the course of the next couple months, I got to open for like Reliant K and like Under Oath and like 1,000 Foot Crutch and Switchfoot. Like these were huge things in the early 2000s. And also we got fans right away, which was really cool because we were terrible. We were real bad. Like sometimes we'd accidentally start rapping again and be like, "No, we're not supposed to do that." But it was so great, and like we ended up getting to go on a tour, and we did one Warped Tour show, and it was like the coolest stuff. But then with one of our fans, who was became a really good friend of ours, was this girl. I'm gonna say her name's Katie because I don't want to say her real name because it's weird. But Katie, she became a really good friend of ours, and Katie was super Christian. I was 17, and 9/11 had just happened, and all I wanted to do was fuck, and so like I didn't. Yeah, you remember, it was rough. And so Katie wasn't for me, but we were friends and we would talk a lot and stuff. One day we were at band practice at the same place, and somebody goes, "Oh, it's so bad what happened to Katie's dad, huh?" And we're like, "What do you mean?" And her dad had been murdered that day. Which was like, I don't know how he found out, I don't know anything. I come to later find out I found out her dad was murdered before she found out her dad was murdered. Because she was like on the road and we didn't have cell phones yet. And so it was terrible. And I really cared about this girl, so I went to her house and her mom was broke up. And we waited for her to come back from this road trip, and then she got there and she was broke up and her whole family was there. And so I ended up spending like a week at their house. And like I'd never met her parents before, stuff like that. And we were just friends. But because all of the adults were like losing it because this man was dead, I ended up like going through all of his stuff. I picked the wardrobe that he was buried in, Like I did a good job. It was a good outfit. But I did. I picked that, and it was just really, really tough and weird. And then the day of the funeral, I was at the door, and I was like letting everybody, as people would walk in, I'd be like, "Thank you for coming. You go over here and sit and stuff." And this woman, who I guess was like her aunt or something, just comes up to me, and they were like, "Who are you?" And her mom, this girl Katie, her mom goes, "Oh, this is Katie's boyfriend Patrick." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I guess, sure." Because you can't be like, actually, I'm just a rhythm guitar player. But, And so at the funeral, and then and so then I just became her boyfriend. Pretty much all she wanted to do was talk about God and her dead dad. And that was like the last thing I wanted to talk about ever, now, always. We don't ever need to bring those two things up. And so it was really bad. And then like a lot of stuff happened over that 6 months where I learned a lot of stuff because like this was in 2002, and you guys remember the DC sniper? That happened. You don't have to laugh at it. I mean, but yeah. Well, that happened in October or something, like late in the year. Well, this had happened in the summer, and her dad was fishing, and he was on the Missouri River between like Iowa and Nebraska, and he had just gotten shot and killed. And they never, I don't know if I didn't follow up, but I don't think they ever figured it out. But at one point, an FBI agent came to their house after the DC sniper thing had happened and found out that he had cashed checks in like Omaha and Des Moines, like in that period. So like he might have another guy. I don't know. But pretty fucked up, right? Pretty crazy when you're just 17 trying to find a way to come, you know? And so then what happened was eventually I met a girl through the band, and it was a girl I knew, and she was like, oh, I totally want to fuck, and I was like, oh, you're great. And so I had to get out of this relationship, but I didn't know what to do, and I was like trying to be a good person and stuff. And I decided that the way to get out of this relationship was I sat down and had a very serious conversation with her and her mother. Well, that's what you do. I sat him down and I said, I think that we should break up because I feel like God is telling me that I need to focus on my emo band. And as you guys can tell, I'm now a famous rock star, so it all ruled. That's it. That's my story. I hope you guys liked it. Yeah. Well, there was one that was, oh my God. There was one that was, I hate that I love you, parentheses, because I can't see you. There was one that was called The Night the Stars Were There Forever. That was pretty good. Right? The chorus to The Night the Stars Were There Forever was, it's gotta get worse before it gets better, baby. We gotta get hurt or it's over, lady. Why am I calling a 17-year-old girl lady? Like, good tune though, real good
Lady?
song. Yeah. That song I 100% wrote about getting a hand job behind a hotel.
What?
But everyone, when our fans would ask, I'd be like, it's about my relationship with the Lord. Which technically, yeah, you know?
Patrick Hastie. Coming up, even after making up his resume, Danny Labelle is still the least famous person in the room. Welcome back to We Still Like You. This last story comes to you from comedian Danny Labelle. He told this story last year, also at the Bird City Comedy Festival. It's about a time when Danny realizes he's in a room full of famous people who don't recognize him, and that means he can be anyone he wants.
To Danny Labelle.
I was at the Edinburgh Comedy Festival a bunch of years ago. I wasn't in the festival, I was just hanging out. Just wanted to see what it was about. And there's a comedian, Tony Woods, who's a great comedian, a great headliner, and we were hanging out. And he's like, hey man, I'm going to this party. It's like a real exclusive party. You want to come with me? I was like, yeah, all right. So we go to this real exclusive party, and there's a guy with it's a big metal door with no doorknob. You have to push it to open it from the inside. I don't know if that's an important detail, but I think, it's a big metal door. It would have been hard to break in. And there's this guy with a list, and he's like, who are you? And he's like, Tony Woods. And he's like, oh yeah, you're on the list. And who's this? He's like, he's cool. He's with me. And he's like, all right. And I get in, and there it's like all the famous people from the festival. And Tony's like, do your thing, man. And he goes, he disappears. And I was like, wow, this is a cool opportunity. I start talking to this girl, this Scottish girl who volunteers for the festival. And she's like, right off the bat, she's like, oh my God, are you famous? Because everybody there was famous. So I was like, I gotta just tell her I'm famous. I have a good chance with this girl then. I was like, yeah, I'm on a TV show in America called Saturday Night Live. And she's like, oh my God, I love Saturday Night Live. That's like my favorite program. We get it here. We watch Saturday. I've never seen you on. I was like, shit. I was just recently added to the cast. I'm what they call a featured player. Like I'm very new, and you'll see me very soon. Anyway, so she's like, oh, that's amazing. That's like my dream to like even go and see a taping. What's it like? I'm like, yeah, at first it's pretty exciting, but then you just get into the routine of things, and it just becomes a job. But you always try to put your heart into it, and it's a good cast, and Then she goes, so just Saturday Night Live? That's all you've done? And I was like, no, I've done other things too. I've been in movies. I was like, damn, Saturday Night Live's not even good enough for this girl. She's like, what movies have you been in? I go, Bad Boys 2. And then I promise you, she goes, oh my God, that's my favorite movie. I'm like, whose favorite movie is Bad Boys 2? That's not even just, my luck is like, then to back it up, she knew like all these scenes from Bad Boys 2. She's like, I don't understand. I've seen that movie literally 100 times. Who are you in Bad Boys 2? I'm racking my brain trying to figure it out. I go, I start thinking of the movie Bad Boys 2. I'm like, there's a scene where there's like landmines and iguanas and there's guards with the gun. She's like, I know that scene. I'm like, I'm one of the guards with the gun. And there's like this really awkward pause. I'm like, I can feel my heart beating because I'm so full of shit and I think I'm going to get discovered. And she's like, I remember you. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. She goes, that's right, you are the guard with the gun. I'm like, yeah, guard with the gun, And she's like, what's Martin Lawrence like? I'm like, very nice guy. But Will Smith and I actually stayed in touch after the movie. And he actually likes to come down to the set of Saturday Night Live sometimes and watch the show. So he's always texting me for tickets for him and his friends and stuff. She's like, that's amazing. So now at this point, she's sitting on my lap. And I'm like, this is incredible. I'm going to get this girl because of my movie star career and my Saturday Night Live. And she's sitting on my lap and like she's got her hand like rubbing through my hair and she's like, do you want a drink? And I'm like, this is what it's like to be famous. She's going to buy me a drink. I love it. I'm like, yes, I would like a drink. She's like, well, what would you like? I'm like, get me whatever you're having. And she's like, all right, vodka orange juice. I'll be right back. And I see her go to the bar, and I'm like, wow, this is the most incredible night of my life. This is, I'm a movie star. I'm getting this girl buying me drinks. This can only go very well from here, And then she's at the bar, and I remember like seeing it like in slow motion. Like Russell Peters walks up to the bar. And then I remember like slow motion, her eyes opening wide and her going, oh my God, Russell Peters. And he was like, yeah. And then she just walked away with him from the bar and never got the drinks because she actually recognized him. He's actually well known. So I'm sitting there waiting away. I'm thinking, you know what? She's probably just having a little chit chat with Russell Peters. She's telling him how she's hanging out with this Saturday Night Live guy. And then she'll go back and she'll get the vodka orange juices and then she'll be right back. And 10 minutes goes by and 15 minutes goes by. Maybe a half hour has gone by and I'm just sitting there like, where the hell is she? She's supposed to have got those drinks. And I walk over and there she's like in this like private booth with Russell Peters and she's like all over Russell Peters. And I just lost it and I screamed at her. I'm like, I'm on Saturday Night Live! And I just, just like, is that not even good enough for you? And I burst out. Oh, this is why it's important that there was no door handle on the other side. I burst out of this party and the door slams behind me. And then I realize I'm in Edinburgh in the middle of the night and I can't get back in because I'm not on the list and there's not even a door handle. And that's it. So I just walked around Edinburgh for hours until the sun came up and the train started running again. And then I could go back because I wasn't staying in Edinburgh. I was staying in Glasgow. So I just walked around just kind of muttering to myself angrily, like I should have bought the drinks. I should have never left her to go get the drinks. Of course, Russell Peters is going to get them. And then I was thinking, and then it hit me like, even if I was the guard in Bad Boys 2, I still couldn't have landed that girl, you know? Thank you. I figured it out once with Russell Peters at the Improv. I ran into him and I was like, do you remember this? And he's like, yeah, I vaguely do remember that. You just yelled something and you left, right? And he's like, that was the weirdest thing ever. He's like, then he told me he never even hooked up with that girl. I don't know if that's true, but he told me, he's like, oh no, we were just hanging out. You should have just sat down or something. but I just stored it. He thinks it's the greatest story ever. So we figured out what year it was based on when he was there and around the same time. But it was, I don't know, 10 years ago, something like that.
Danny Labelle. And that does it for this episode of We Still Like You. Do us a favor and share the show with someone you like. Maybe leave us a review on iTunes. If you want to tell a shameful story at one of our many shows around the country, send us an email. WeStillLikeYou@gmail.com is where you could reach us. I'm Jesse Batend. Until next time, thanks for listening.
We Still Like You is produced by Dan Sheehan, Danny Gallegos, Tyler Snodgrass, Shannon Knoll, and J. Michael Osborne, who is also our resident live artist. In Los Angeles, it is produced by Andy Sell.
The podcast is produced by Jesse Batend, engineered by Jesse Batend and Sam Haas. Our theme song is Specific People by Jake Tobin. Big thanks to all the people who've housed our live shows at various undisclosed locations around Chicago, and to you, the listener, for being there.
If you'd like to know more about where you can watch We Still Like You or submit to be on We Still Like You, please check out our website, which is westilllikeyou.com, and also you can find us on Facebook.
Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.